Great. So I've been asked very many times over the last couple of months about my visit with the two of you and with your colleagues, and I've been asked to describe what that visit meant to me and what's happening in your lives as well. And I struggle for the words to describe all of that for a bunch of reasons, but one of the reasons is that I want to bring your voices into the center of this. I mean, I can't begin to describe what your reality is and what your struggle is on the ground. So I want, in that language that we're using now, I want to center your Palestinian voices in the midst of all of this and make sure that my friends here in the States are hearing clearly from you about what you're experiencing and what you need from us as friends and companions. So can I just start with that? Where are you? How are you in Bethlehem these days? And what do you need from the international community and in particular from the American church? And have at that in whatever way feels right to the two of you.
Yes, thank you. An appreciation to your voice, to your action, to your unconditional love, your empathy, compassion, and solidarity. I really, all of us at WIAM, uh, love you. We
Yeah.
can say that.
Well, that runs both ways. I love the two of you with all of my heart, and all of you of
Yes,
me.
thank you. Um, it is it is the worst of times now. It is really unbelievable, difficult time, and what we are witnessing. You can stop me. What we are witnessing in Gaza: starvation, genocide, ethnic cleansing, and what we see also in the West Bank. It is really slow genocide, and we see more restrictions. Now, the gates that separate us from place to place, it's more than 1,200 gates. Already they erected another two gates recently, one in Beit Jala and one on the way to Beit Sahur. So in a way, another, we are really in reservations, if I'd like to say,
Mm, mm,
in ghettos, in concentration camps.
mm.
You know, gone the time when we are afraid to use the terminology that used during the Holocaust, because this is the problem. You know, the victims became the perpetrators and used the same technique, if
Mm.
you like to say.
Yeah.
And this is a moral defeat for everyone, for every human beings.
Mm.
So, so I don't know. It is really, people are hopeless and helpless at this moment. And what is happening in the whole world is crazy. What happened in the States recently. So I don't know where we are heading. I stop here in order to let Tarek say things.
No, not at all. First of all, thank you again, as he said, for having us here with you. We're waiting for you to come back, and hopefully you can always bring some friends and family with you.
Mm.
You have a home with us, as you know.
That means so much to me, Tarek. It means so much to me.
Oh no, we're so grateful for you, for your voice, and for what you're doing, for continuing to speak up in a time in which voices are so effectively silenced. As he said, every day we wait for news. There's a saying that no news is good news, but we have found out for the last 2 years that no news or news means there's no good news anyway.
Yeah.
As the genocide has waged on for 2 years with the support of US dollars, with the support of US infrastructure, with the support of US weapons, with the sort of support of US media coverage and narrative coverage, we've also continued to feel like lambs to the slaughter.
Yeah.
We see the lambs. We see our cages closing in. In the West Bank, we're still being fattened. Those in Gaza are being starved. And they have been starved and they have been under rocket and under fire since October of 2023. We also see Israel expanding its battlefield, attacking Qatar most recently. We saw it with its continued attacks on Syria, on Lebanon, on Yemen, on Iran.
Mm,
And with the threat of annexation coming even nearer and closer to us, we are not sure for how long we may continue to live in Palestine, for how long we may continue to live in Bethlehem or to live in other areas. Today already there was a meeting to discuss the annexation of the West Bank. And so we are in the position where we are in great need of voices that are stronger than our own,
mm,
of voices that matter and count to where the power is.
mm.
And we need these voices to speak up, not just for Palestine, but for all those who are being oppressed,
Yeah,
both in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Lebanon, in Syria, in Congo, but also at home in the United
yeah,
States.
yeah,
And we need these voices to be resolute and founded in this common humanity, in this right to life that we all share and that we should all be afforded.
yeah. So when you both, let's make sure I get your father unmuted there again. When you both talk about slow genocide in the West Bank, that's a devastating phrase, right? But it jibes with your experience of the sort of systematic project, right? With which the Israeli government and the settlement enterprise is squeezing your communities into smaller and smaller areas, crushing the economy. It's not too much now to call it a slow genocide in the West Bank. Is that right?
Yes, it is right. Uh, we witness more confiscation of land, more building of settlements, demolition of houses, you
Hmm.
know, imprisoning people, young people, soldiers at night have raids,
Yeah.
terrifying us. Soldiers and jeeps are in the morning and in the noon. Uh, People are scared. People are afraid. People are not sure what does it mean tomorrow. How can they live? No, you know, and no freedom of movement. They couldn't go to their fields if they have fields. So, and on the top of that, today there was massive arrest in Tulkarem. Tons of young people are arrested.
Yeah.
And so the situation is really escalating at an alarming rate.
Yes. Yes.
And no human rights organizations, the Israeli government is silencing and
Right.
make it illegal for a human rights organization, whether Israeli or Palestinian. And, and we are afraid that this right-wing government will do things in order to gain best prestige in the West,
Yeah.
and I don't know what is the message they give us when they attack Qatar, who is really the mediator
Mm.
for the exchange of prisoners.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it? Even the mediators and even some people label it as pro-Israel
Yeah.
city because it has the largest chamber of commerce and
Right.
it is the largest American, base there,
Right. Right.
military base. So I don't know. And even yesterday, I had a friend of mine who came from Seattle. He wants to interview me and said, I read about hope. Why are you hopeful? What are the reasons for hope?
Mm.
after he has been 2 days in the area.
2 days. Yeah.
Yes. So I responded with
Wow.
modesty. Hope is a form of nonviolent struggle.
It is. Yeah.
Hope is enhancing our faith, and faith enhancing our hope. So this is really a difficult time that we face.
I think hope is a nice word, but it doesn't begin to capture it doesn't begin to capture what's necessary in this moment. And again, the two of you, what I got from the two of you this summer was an embodied kind of hope. I mean, you're what you're doing and what WM is doing in that city is not just articulating hope or intellectualizing hope, but programmatically embodying hope with women, with children, with different groups from different parts of the city. That's part of what I'm taking from the two of you and from my month with you last summer is just this way that hope just isn't an exercise in my head.
No, it is not. Hope is baptizing
Yes,
our
yes,
action
yes.
through Holy Spirit,
That's right.
through, and hope is, which is not risking, is not hope.
That's right. Right.
When we go to the office next to the wall, see the practice of the soldiers and the army, and you stay there, it is hope. When you see the woman to really risk themselves to come to the meetings, or the children, this is hope.
Yeah.
Hope is not really living in ivory castle.
Right.
It is making our hands dirty to clean things for people.
Yeah.
So this is really, it is hope in action.
Yeah.
And
So Tarek, let me turn to you and ask this question then. You've got almost literally one foot in the American culture and one foot in the Palestinian culture. What does the American community, the American activist community, the American church community, what are we called to do and be right now that manifests hope for you and your father and your colleagues in Bethlehem? How do you name the American challenge right now, in this moment?
I think we are called to disrupt all the cycles of violence that are very well and alive today. I think as it relates to Palestine, Israel, we must begin to deconstruct the narratives that we are hearing. When we hear about people using the word security to speak about genocide, we must ask, what is the equation that allows us to justify the genociding and starvation of any people? And hopefully we arrive to the answer that there is no equation, at least not one that is marked or that is connected to this reality or any reality that we may think of. I think we need to begin to actionalize hope
Yeah,
by building community. We have been effectively divided not just in the global north and the global south, but we are divided in the US as we are in Palestine. In Palestine, we have checkpoints, we have gates, we have all of these physical barriers on the ground that are keeping Palestinian communities and sometimes households apart from each other.
yeah,
In the States, we too have these barriers. They're just not as visible.
yeah,
They're not as seen to the general public. When we talk about these divisive politics and the identity politics that is being used to
yeah,
divide and conquer a whole nation, when we talk about the immigrant being scapegoated for the hoarding of millions and billions and trillions of dollars by corporations
yeah.
and by the capitalist elite,
Wow.
when we talk about job security coming at the expense of black bodies
Yeah,
and black lives,
yeah.
we must begin to deconstruct these narratives and while deconstructing them, build security through community,
Build
through
it.
knowing,
Yeah,
through understanding. And I think with this, we must also focus on disrupting
yeah,
all of this violence. And as my father said, hope is costly.
yeah,
We're looking for true collective community discipleship, and that is very costly.
Yeah.
And sometimes that cost may be the security or the luxury that we know,
Yeah.
but we understand that what is waiting is a greater good for the collective,
Yeah.
and that is well worth the cost that is paid.
Wow. So stretch that out a little bit. Disrupting, um, and disrupting in the spirit and the tradition of nonviolence that I think the three of us would claim as a very a central tradition for the three of us. How do we disrupt these cycles of violence non-violently right now? Right? Genocide in motion happening not only in Gaza, we're talking about genocide in the West Bank. What does disruption look like? How does a community actively, non-violently disrupt a cycle of violence?
I think we
Either.
can begin by looking at what allows these cycles of violence to persist and continue.
Mm,
And we find a whole system and financial system behind this.
mm,
And so our disruption may begin by aligning our purchasing power
mhm.
with that which speaks to our ideological belonging or our moral and ethical standing. I think within that is also being able to support that which has a face, which has a name, instead of that entity which is far removed and
Yeah,
producing, oftentimes at the expense of the global south or the least privileged within society.
yeah,
And I think we must also look at the social level and the individual level. Those who are committing or partaking in oppression are very comfortable in the castles that they've built for themselves.
yeah,
And so it is important for us to also make them aware of the violence that they are committing. I think of Jesus, as I speak this,
mm,
when we talk about the story of Jesus saying, when someone smacks your cheek, turn to
yeah,
the other side, and contextualizing it within the context of that time, in which if you were to slap, you were to slap with the outside of your hand.
mm,
And by turning the cheek, you force the person to slap you with the inside of their hand.
yeah,
And that dirties their hand in that cultural understanding.
yeah,
And so, in that sense, being able to use and being creative
yeah,
by all the means that we have available to be able to make people aware and at least feel the dirt of
yeah.
this oppression
Wow, wow,
and of this disconnection and division.
wow. Boy, I treasure these conversations with you, Tarek, and treasure so many of them over the summer. So thank you so much.
I, I,
Yeah,
I,
what does
I,
disruption mean, and
I,
how does Christ show us a different way of disruption?
I believe disruption can continue as what Tariq said, divorce as our faith from the Christian Zionists
Yeah,
and right wing,
yep,
who really call for more arming the Israelis,
yep,
and the
yep,
Israeli government.
right,
And I believe also disruption by helping the Americans and the Westerners to be liberated from the guilt feeling.
yeah, yep,
Still, I see guilt feeling. And
yep,
also liberate Jews from the victims
yep,
mentality.
yep,
And again, I
yeah,
think it is the time to disrupt and divorce ourselves from the past techniques, you know.
yeah,
And as Jesus said, hate the sin, but not the sinner.
right,
And
right,
we are not against people. We are against the principalities of evil powers, evil
right,
regimes, evil, whatever you call it, evil world.
yeah,
And why not to adopt PDS,
yep,
you know,
yep,
because this will awaken many of the people in the world.
yeah,
And this is the most, important weapon or not weapon instrument of
yep,
nonviolence,
yes, right,
through
right,
the BTS. And also for Americans, when we talk, I believe, yes, stop all the aid military to Israel
yeah,
and link aid to human rights.
yeah, amen,
Now there are no human rights for us.
Yeah.
There are nothing. And I think we need to awaken the leaders of the society, and we need to have open dialogue
Yeah.
with all people in the states, regardless of their political approach.
Right.
So this is very important to see that, and also to awaken the Arab world, the Muslim world,
Mm-hmm.
who are silent,
Mm-hmm.
really.
Mm-hmm.
Jewish Voices for Peace give me hope. So
Mm-hmm.
I am seeing my people, the Arabs and the Muslims, are dormant. So
Yeah.
it is, we want to awaken the conscious and
Yeah.
conscious of all people, regardless of their faith. Jesus, we
Yeah.
need to learn from Jesus by enticing collective responsibility,
Yes. Yep. Yep.
which is a cure for all, which is based on win-win.
Yep. And that notion of collective responsibility, which you come back to again and again, Zoughbi, is so powerful for me, and not one that I've really had to wrestle with in my ministry, but I bring it back home and I think, what does collective responsibility look like for my community, for my congregation, for my Christian tradition? It's a powerful idea, and one that you've now communicated to me in a way that I can't unsee it or unthink it. So I appreciate that. I should say, Zoughbi, out of that meeting that you and I attended in Atlanta a couple months ago, one of the initiatives that the churches here are launching even this week, I think, is a particular BDS campaign to focus on two companies in the States that are particularly complicit. One is Chevron, which I think does a lot of oil and gas speculating off the coast there, and funding and empowering of the system of genocide. But the other is Palantir, which is a tech company that does a lot of work in surveillance and security, borders, checkpoints, drone technology, that sort of thing. So we're going to do our best to sort of bring a lot of focused energy to the BDS movement through those two particular companies, and helping folks to realize that how we participate economically in this economy makes a difference, as you're saying, as you're both saying.
And if I could add one point to your question,
Yeah.
also that goes along with some of what my father shared, is part of the disruption that is deeply needed is to move away from punitive justice,
Yeah.
to understand that punitive justice is a form of injustice that has been weaponized for millennia
Yeah.
against those who are oppressed and against systems within society.
Yeah.
And I think it's not just a void to move away from punitive justice, but instead to move towards restorative
Yeah.
justice,
Yeah.
a form of justice that allows us to protect, to bring out the image of God that we were each created in,
Right.
and that allows us to begin to rebalance this oppression and these deep disparities,
Yeah.
whether historical, current,
Yeah.
or likely in the coming future. And within that is a special maybe message or call to my Christian brothers, sisters, and siblings. And that is that we need to be able to decide whether Jesus is simply an empty symbol or whether it is a
Yeah.
living being, a
Yeah.
historical being, a being that we draw inspiration from. We must remember the Jesus that rode on a donkey into Jerusalem,
Yeah.
that refused violence against people,
Yeah.
the one that when they were taking him to be crucified and the Roman soldier's ear was cut off, he scolded his disciple and stuck it back. But also the one who was not afraid to flip the tables
Right.
in the
Right.
temple,
Yeah.
at the temple's doorsteps.
Yeah.
And so to recognize the transformative ability or potential capacity of every individual while also recognizing the systems of injustice
Yeah.
that unfortunately must be dismantled.
As you're describing with the slapping of the cheek, we're talking about active nonviolence, not passive inaction, right? We're talking about
Yes.
in the Gandhi, King, Zoughbi tradition, we're talking about
Yeah,
active nonviolence, not
Yes.
not passive.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And that
And when
requires
we talk about nonviolence,
creativity.
and when we talk about nonviolence, I think it's not enough for Palestinians to practice it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
that the whole world
Yes.
will be part,
Right.
the
Right.
Palestinians to continue a
Yeah.
nonviolent struggle, proactive, the Israeli to have a preventive approach of
Yes.
nonviolence to
Yeah.
help their government and their psyche and their mentality to get rid of being occupation. And
Yeah.
the third, people, to bring the strong to their senses as well as empower the weak.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So in a way, to do it collectively,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it is impossible for
Yes.
us to do it now because we are in a prison. And
Yes.
many times, I don't like this image, but we can say it. Most Palestinians believe they are like sitting ducks in a shooting gallery.
Yeah. Right.
Although I refuse this image
Right.
because I don't want to be a sitting duck.
Right.
I try to steer the situation
Yeah.
to, to make a kind of a struggle that really dignify all
Yes.
people
Yes.
involved.
Yeah. Boy, that's so beautiful. Yes. Um, Boy, there's so much there that I'm thinking about. Well, can I do this? Well, let me just this as I think about the month and a half that I spent in Bethlehem over the spring and summer, so many important experiences for me along the way, including these intimate conversations with the two of you. But on three occasions, I got to do a little bit of Bible study with you and your staff. And those were powerful experiences for me. Just as you're saying, Tarek, to realize that the Jesus that I follow is a historical figure, a living figure, and still offers inspiration, agitation, challenge to me and to the people that I love. When we take his story, when we take the story up and we engage with it and we bring our own stories to the table, there's just still so much in that tradition that speaks to the challenges that we face. And I guess I just wanted to thank you both again for that, for sort of reintroducing me to my own tradition and its Palestinian roots and the deep way that it still resonates as an important piece of your resistance and your community building. Anything you want to add to that? Does that sound right to the two of you?
It sounds absolutely right, and it reminds me of a story that I told you in Bethlehem of a young child who had been imprisoned and had been mistreated and abused. And he was with some
Yeah,
folks who live a very different life and have a much more luxurious, or at least oppression-free life and lifestyle. And at one point, one of the people was moved and they began apologizing to this
yeah,
young child. I'm sorry for what I have. I'm sorry for the privilege. I'm sorry for this and that. And the child says something that I think was somewhat deeply resonates with my Christian faith. And he says, "Don't apologize, just take me with you."
yeah,
And so when I think about this fellowship
yeah,
that we're also invited to
yeah,
be a part of, to create, to continue to remind ourselves that this isn't about anyone losing,
right.
but it's instead about us being able to uplift
Yeah,
those who are deeply suffering
yeah, yeah,
and to make sure that we are all standing and sitting at the same table and that that table has enough food,
yeah,
not because we've created more, but because we've learned to share it.
yeah. Let me
Yeah,
just, yeah,
what is the story here is, whether Muslims or Christians will say we are not afraid of dying
mm.
because we have a rich tradition.
Yes, yeah,
Jesus resurrected on the third day,
yeah,
and we will resurrect. Could be 3 years, could be in
right,
30 years, but eventually we will resurrect,
right,
and injustice will not last forever.
right.
And this is very important
Yes,
collective faith as well,
yes, yeah,
individual faith, and
yeah,
whether Muslims or Christians. And I hope that we are not against Jews, we are against the system
yeah,
that some of them support, or the American support.
yep,
It is the time to call a spade,
Yep.
and to tell the truth, and the truth will liberate all of us.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I'd like to just finish by reading a quick passage from scripture, which I think, Zoughbi, you've read in my company at least a couple of times, and invite you each to just reflect on how this hits you, how this lands in your hearts. It's from Paul's second letter to the Corinthians, and it'll sound familiar, I know, to all of you, to all of us. We have this treasure in clay jars so that it may be made clear that this extraordinary power belongs to God and does not come from us. We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed, always carrying in the body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be made visible in our bodies. For while we live, we are always being given up to death for Jesus' sake, so that the life of Jesus may be made visible in our mortal flesh. So death is at work in us, but life at work in you. Again, as I think about your community there, your colleagues, your family, afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed. You are walking the way of the cross. You are living the way of the cross, and I'm just humbled by knowing the two of you, and being able to learn from you, and being able to hear the challenge in your stories about that way, and then ask, what does it mean for me in my own context, in my own very privileged world, in the American context, to walk the way of the cross and to do that in partnership with you. Zoughbi, you know that passage. I believe you read that passage to us in Atlanta. What does it mean to you now? You're muted. I want to hear every word.
I think it is the most empowering paragraph in the Bible for me.
Hmm.
It is really gives me hope, gives me encouragement.
Hmm.
It endorses our thoughts in a more sturdy way.
Yeah.
It is really sharpening our resilience
Hmm.
and creating us a new creature
Yeah.
to tell that we are not afraid.
Yeah.
It echoes the 365 verses in the Bible saying that don't be afraid, little flock.
Yeah.
And when I read that, if Jesus is with us, who is against us?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's always like the seed, when it dies, it creates a new life.
Yeah.
So that's for us is transformative approach
Wow.
for not only for us, but for all the people, because we believe in inclusivity and pluralism.
Yeah.
And there is no way that we will be victorious against other. We will all be victorious against the evil in power and evil empire and evil structure. And it is the time again to resonate with all the powers in the world who are seeking the truth and who are seeking justice and who create a new modality for life.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Tarek, a last word for us.
Yeah, I think what can I add from what is said? So maybe I'll try and bring in a another perspective to this to add,
Please.
and that is the wordage. I think when we start speaking about the part that oftentimes most people are familiar with, we are perplexed, and it goes on. It uses the term we, and there
Yes.
is a
Yes.
collective that's
Yes.
embedded
That is.
within those verses. And I call that out both because of the hope that I hold in the we,
Yep.
but also because of the agony and suffering that
Yep.
is held in the I.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are collectives of I's
Yeah.
that are being erased and their voices silenced in a way that we will not be able to hear again in this setting. And this is happening at the same time, and we are waiting for this greater I or greater
Mm.
we
Yeah.
to be able to empower the eyes and allow us to live a more holistic we.
Yeah.
So this is a prayer,
Yeah.
Second Corinthians, and
It
we
is.
hope that with our fruitful and very active resistance, that we will be able to realize this prayer for all of us.
You're saying that the collective responsibility, restorative justice, which is what you've been talking about, these things are not optional add-ons to the Christian life. They really are the essence of the Christian life. Collective responsibility, restorative justice. This is who we are. This is who Christ insists on on creating in the church. And can I
You
just,
can add to it the
yeah,
third, because always I love to mention three things: the
yes.
transformative power.
Transformative power. Yes, yes, that's right. One of the things that I've told folks here a bunch of times over the last few weeks is that Weam struck me this summer as a church. I mean, what you're doing is you're building a community of resistance, a community of transformation, a community of kindness in the shadow of a wall, in the shadow of apartheid. And what I experienced from the two of you so often was pastoral ministry. And I know, Zoughbi, you go on and on about how you're not theologically trained, but that's just a load of bull. I mean, what you bring to your community is a pastor's heart, a priest's heart, and allow those women, those men, those children who are in and out of that center to feel like they have a community of a beloved community, a community of care and conviction that can carry them through all that they're going through. So again, just thank you both for offering me these visions of what the church can be in my place, and the kind of pastor and the kind of minister and the kind of priest that I intend to be is now shaped by the two of you and by the experiences that I've had with you. And I'll be back. I'll be back to see you again sometime soon.
Thank you, thank you. Give our love and greetings to all.
I certainly will. Thank you both,
And
and
we'll be waiting,
let's talk again soon.
Okay.
inshallah.
Okay.
Bye bye for
Thank
now.
you both. Bye bye for now.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.